Um, so, who are you? Who are you? And why have you got me feeling this way? um, I can actually answer that because I've been meditating on this energy or your energy for quite a while. And I was seeing the Hanged Man. Okay, so first of all, this is who you are, or at least the archetype that you're embodying. Okay, I'm hearing these are like the vibrations or transmissions that you're sending out during this time. This is Neptune energy. Neptune is otherworldly, it's etheric, it's also tangible. You know, it's the intangible part of the body, it's the intangible part of the soul that we feel. It's the non-physical essence that we feel at the core, and it's often hidden. Okay. So there's something around your energy, or your energy can't hide even behind whatever mask you wear. It's almost like your presence announces itself before you do, especially because you're not here in the physical, right? Only an illusion of separation. However, your energy is presenting itself. Okay. I'm seeing like your aura fill a room. Okay, so your energy literally fills rooms, and I'm hearing you fill rooms with this light. Light is truth, is also consciousness. So there's a higher level of, I'm hearing higher dimensional levels of awareness, conscious awareness that you navigate this existence through, and it speaks through your presence alone. It speaks through, I'm hearing your embodiment. Okay, this is like an embodiment. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the energy today, and yeah, the energy surrounding you. It's gonna be a very, very interesting one with the Hanged Man. But this is about Odin, Thoth energy, Hermes, who could realm, okay, and dwell between the mortal and immortal realms. And whenever he does come to the mortal realms, he comes with levels of awareness, okay, in the things that he's discovered, ascending to, like heaven and hell. That's what they talk about, right? To the underworld. And there's almost like an essence of you being a traveler, but one that travels with the mind. And this is about looking at life through the lens of an enlightened being. And to be an enlightened being is really to recognize your light once again, and also the light that exists within all those around you, all other extensions and expressions of our brothers and sisters. And yeah, there's almost like an energy of suspending yourself upside down from the tree of knowledge, and you're looking at the ruins of your life through the lens of the soul, and you're gaining an entirely new perspective in regards to other characters, extensions, expressions of yourself who have come through forms of other manifestations, through other vessels, okay, other vehicles, housing and encasing these levels of awareness, these fractals of awareness that also originate from the same source point as your own. And you're just understanding the deeper part that these characters have played into your story, okay? And I'm hearing you're kind of descending deep into your own mind, and that's allowing you to ascend into higher frameworks of existence. So there could be like a little shadow work that you've been doing as well, behind the scenes. But I'm hearing that's kind of showing face through the way that you carry yourself. Okay, I'm hearing the truth that you carry, or the truth that you've come back to, that you've always held within you. And it's like you're dismantling belief systems that have kind of distorted you from this truth. Now, the other energy that we have is the Libra energy as well, with justice. And justice is about conscious cause and effect. It is also about contracts. So it's almost like you could be looking at certain soul contracts with the lens of the soul through a different level of awareness, and you're just understanding yourself. Okay, there's something around your understanding yourself. All right. And then you also have selective shield. So there could be a level of, this talks about aura, okay, your aura and auric protection, where you may be really selective in regards to the people, circumstances, and things, I'm hearing moving forward, that you allow to penetrate your field. And most importantly, that's about your emotional state not being dependent upon the external stimuli and the way that you merely interact with this matrix. Instead, there's a level of truth, right? And looking at life through the lens of the soul. That's what the Hanged Man does when it comes to your interconnectedness to all things. So you're asking yourself questions around what character. Okay, more importantly, like, what is my vibrational state to bring someone that is in resonance with me at this stage of my life, or what was my vibrational state to bring somebody in resonance at a certain time of my life, and how did that assist in my evolution journey, right? How did I'm hearing summon or call forth these different kind of characters in order to be able to recover something I'm hearing memorable. Now you also have the empty well, time to replenish. Time to replenish is about there being nothing for you anymore in a very specific situation, environment, or circumstance. It basically talks about you cannot, I'm hearing drink from an empty well, and this is about a barren, dry desert, okay, or landscape in something that was once nourishing to the soul. So it's almost like there's no more room to grow in a certain environment, or there's no more room for you to grow with certain belief systems, right? It's almost like you cannot ascend to higher frameworks of existence if you're still holding on to, bitterness, if you're still holding on to a grudge in your own heart, right? And this is about you forgiving, not necessarily forgiveness for the other, but forgiveness for yourself, okay? So that you can lead with love and not carry that burden of a grudge in your own heart, because again, it does weigh that scale down from actually being able to see the truth of this existence. If you think about the heart weighed out against the feather of truth, because you have forgiveness, right? Repairing the veil. Forgiveness does not always require reconnection as well. I do want to say that there is almost like a level of forgiving to give yourself permission, and also the other extension and expression of yourself, the space to move on. Okay, I'm hearing to forgive is to hold space for yourself. Now, you also have gathering around the power of community. So this talks about you summoning celestial light helpers to assist you at this stage in your journey. This is work happening behind the veils. The main energy coming through is that you're changing your relationship to the past as you change your perspective and your embodiment and your relationship to this truth, which is multidimensional in the present moment. And that's altering the future timelines and activations that are taking place in your life. There's an energy of this is shifting. It's multidimensional healing. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. It's multidimensional quantum healing. And to quantum, I'm hearing to quantify healing is to heal your relationship with the past, okay, and that integrated version of yourself that can look back at certain circumstances through the lens of wisdom is to see the situation clearly without it disrupting your emotional state, okay? Wisdom and true wisdom lies in being able to see a situation and it not trigger you anymore, and you've reached that place, okay? You've reached that place. You can see the lens through the healed version of yourself versus the wounded version of yourself. And both, I'm hearing versions of yourself coexist. Okay, because again, truth is multidimensional and you're multidimensional. All feelings and emotions, the full spectrum of human emotion is valid, but you're able to bring yourself back into that state of neutrality, okay? To become neutral and to use your lens of discernment, it's not to become stoic, it's to be able to feel the full range of human emotion, but also come back to that place of ultimate truth, which is your interconnectedness to all things. And that's why there's like a very ascended level of thinking, like you've ascended to higher frameworks of thinking and viewing this existence. Now, yeah, that's what I was seeing as well. That's what I was seeing. So this is about a mirror of the suspended soul between realms. And was there anything else that came out? Yeah, that was mainly it. There's nothing left for you in a situation or circumstance. And you will continue suffering mainly through the mind. And it's like you're traveling at the speed of thought and you just being present with yourself. Okay. And having to sit in that discomfort has been how you've discovered your key to alchemy. And alchemy is saying, okay, I may feel this way, but how do I want to choose to change the way that I'm feeling? How can I change the way that I relate to this situation or this person, right? How can I change my perspective of it? Now, the Hanged Man, I was seeing you guys as a character, right? So you've done all this internal work, right? You've done all this work behind the scenes, and I'm seeing others like bring up something, right? Other extensions of yourself, and they're giving you the opportunity to reinforce through action something that you haven't been able to do before. So the way that you can hold space for yourself, and also another extension of yourself, is saying a lot about you during this time, okay? It's saying a lot about you. And the message that was coming through is the Hanged Man as a character. He's very cryptic. He is multidimensional. He is quite aloof as well. Like, he's quite distant and detached, where people are like, oh, you got over that thing? Like, the thing that you used to trip over, you're now walking over, okay? And that's the energy. It's like, it seems aloof, it seems distant, it seems like this is someone that doesn't really care, but it's actually that they have unconditional love for themselves and all other extensions for them of themselves as well. And it's just a profound awareness that they have when it comes to that interconnectedness to all things, where they can see this construct clearly. And that's to become detached. And that's what the Hanged Man has mastered. So who is he? Who are you, right? Who is this character in which you're embodying? What is the archetypal expression that you are encompassing, right, during this time? Well, he steps back far enough until the storm becomes a speck, right? Until he can begin to see the cosmos in what once appeared to be chaotic in his life, where he can see a secret ordering to something that once appeared disorderly. And he dwells in between those realms. He dwells in between those truths. He dwells in between being able to put himself in the shoes of himself and also another, okay? And, he wears these robes of surrender, right? They're kind of stitched with all the identities that he shared, all the belief systems, right, that were attached to those identities or those versions of himself, right? The hurt version of himself, the wounded version of himself, and the way that that version would kind of see and feel and think about a certain situation in his life, right? But there's also a part of you innately at your soul's core essence that's untouched by time, that's unaffected by trauma that occurs in this third dimensional construct, right? You're not someone that attaches that to that a trauma. You're not someone that identifies yourself with that trauma, right? Have you ever met someone who's been through like a traumatic event, right? And it becomes their whole identity. There's an essence of you've gone through that to a certain degree, but you've completely shed it. And this person doesn't chase fate, right? He waits until fate comes and reveals itself to him. And all fate is really the sequence of events that begins to unfold in your life to assist you on your evolution journey. It shows how well your choices are and the journey of those choices are when it comes to supporting your initial intentions when incarnating into this realm. And fate will and can come to intervene when it feels like you're not in alignment with what you had initially intended to come here to experience. Or there could be a more, let's just say, productive way, right? Instead of a counterproductive way that you'd be creating in this existence. It's more of a productive way of seeing this experience. We're talking about the productivity when it comes to soul growth, right? It's almost like you're missing something. Okay, I know you see it through the lens of hurt, but see it through a healed lens as well. And this isn't a version of yourself that's, suspending or detaching because you're lazy and you're not doing the work, but you're listening in between those periods. You're not just passive, right? You're not a passive observer of your reality, but you're beginning to perceive things in your reality. He's almost like that space in between breaths, right? Maybe it's you blowing things away with a breath of kindness, right? Simply removing everything that isn't for you and just keeping the things that are, right? So yeah, he's the space in between breaths and the frame between the before the next scene. Sorry, this fly is like really coming in. He's the frame before the next scene, okay? So it's almost like there's a new scene of your life that's emerging. There's also a new framework in which you're viewing this existence, and you're getting comfortable with that pause state. Because I'm hearing you can feel new things, recalibrating. I'm seeing like loading into your reality. You've never embodied this level of truth, right? You've never embodied this octave of like deep knowing before. And because of that, I'm hearing there are a new level of alignments that are coming your way. This is like the frame before your next scene. And this is what you're being called to do, right? There's almost like a moment of divine recalibration, okay? A divine recalibration in that moment of stillness. It's where the ego completely dissolves from its attachment, right? I'm hearing to what it thinks it knows, and then the more that you know, the more that you know there is to know, right? And to learn, because we're all students and teachers of life. And I'm hearing there's something that you can learn from everyone if you pay attention, even if it's what you can learn about yourself by how you respond to those around you. And he also was speaking to you during this time, right? It's a space before you make the decision that writes your fate. And whether that was a conscious decision or unconscious. And what I'm getting from you is that you can see the sequence of events that had unfolded in your life based upon unconscious action, okay? Based upon acting from the wounded self. And now that you're conscious of yourself, okay, and how you want to apply your free will at any given moment in time, you can selectively choose your timelines moving forward, okay? And that's a very strong essence that's coming through. And that's you stepping into becoming a sovereign creator. It's the moment where, you know, the hanged man, he looks at his life, recalibrates everything that has happened, right? It's almost like he's having a soul review. That's really what it is. He's having a soul review before his soul review. It's almost like a checkpoint, right? It's almost like a check-in. And then he decides what it is that he wants to do moving forward. You know, it kind of does remind me of a nodal return or a nodal reversal return, where it's like a karmic checkpoint. And you're being called to kind of reassess, reevaluate how well you're living according with your soul's essence. So it's the one inside of you that quietly observes the one that's making the choices, right? It's the one that is not intervening, but is silently experiencing your journey unfolding in your life due to those choices that have been made, right? This version of self never interrupted the process, right? It's the version of you that doesn't judge the choices that are made anyway, but experiences them. It's the one that does not attach, right, to why those choices were made, but actually begins to surrender to them. So this is how other people are seeing you. And I do want to talk about this because this is what it's like to meet the hanged man, right, from an outside perspective. And I feel like this is like the essence or energy that you're giving during this time. So it's like, imagine walking through this dense world. I'm hearing when people lose themselves, they find you, right? When they lose themselves in the chaos to the external noise, to the external distractions, suddenly the hanged man kind of appears. There he is, right? Almost like the Cheshire Cat in the Alice in the Wonderland, where there's like this man hanging upside down from this tree, right? From this tree of knowledge. Let's bring him up again. Let's bring you guys up again. Here he is. You're like walking through the world, and then boom, he's not distressed, he's not calling for help, right? Even though he's hanging upside down, he's just there, he's just being. And it's kind of him in his own serenity to the point where it can be kind of unsettling for the other person, because it's like, hey, do you want to kind of like control the circumstance, right? Do you want like to get down? Like, why are you suspending yourself by your leg? Like, none of this makes sense, but it makes perfect sense to him. In fact, he's never seen things so clearly before, right? So it's almost like it reminds me of the quote of like when you go through spiritual awakening, and it's like, congratulations, everyone thinks you're crazy. You've made it. It's like that kind of energy. That's definitely what it is. It's like, don't you see? Things have never been so right. Like, I've never seen things so clearly. I've never felt about things so clearly in my life. And there's a level of like aloofness where it's like you can seem like you're a bit away with the fairies because no one can see what it is you can see. It's not that you cannot look at the things that others can. It's that you can now see a whole layer of this interconnected network and database that we're existing in, has attuned to. And most importantly, everyone has this vision to see. Everyone has that eye to see. It's just that it's about discarding the things that have been kind of clouding the vision, right? Clouding it, how that's been distorted by certain belief systems. And yeah, it's kind of so unsettling, but to a point where it does feel divine. Like, there feels like there's this divinity around, what are you seeing? Like, there's some people see you, they're like, what are you seeing? Like, what? You know, it's like that kind of energy. So he looks at you with like recognition that you just don't understand, but not as you are, but you will, right? You will become the understanding after you stop running from the truth. It's almost like, you know, the hanged man is like, have you guys seen that quote where he's like, wisdom has always been chasing you, but you have always been faster. You know, it's always like that energy. The wisdom is to be able to, again, look at those circumstances, but not have that emotional reaction, right? Because you are not your emotions. You're not this physical. These are things that you're experiencing through the physical vessel, but you are not that. You are not bound or tethered to that. So it's like, you know, child, wisdom has always been chasing you, but you have always been faster. It's like where you run from the inability to just release the grudge, you release the blame, right? You release the deep shame, right? That's the product in which you become. So he doesn't offer advice. What you do instead is offer that stillness, and in that stillness, someone begins to see themselves, right? What happens when there are no words? And I'm just speaking to you right now through energy, through vibration. So that's what the Hanged Man does. He says, when you're ready to see the world upside down, I'll be there. And then he disappears. Or in that vanishing, he helps you remember that maybe he was never outside of you at all, right? Maybe there's another like projection or reflection. And this is the energy that I'm receiving. It's like people remember your energy or the embodiment or just the space that you held in times where they weren't necessarily able to hold that space for themselves. And there's just a strong essence in regards to people think back to certain interactions that they've had with you. And it's in the things that you didn't say. It's in the looks that you didn't give. It's in reading in between the lines and seeing the cryptic messages that required the black light, right? When we talk about the black light, it shows higher bandwidths of frequency light. It talks about higher frameworks of viewing this existence. It requires you to read the script that was previously invisible from the lens of the soul. It's only visible to the lens of the soul, when it comes to understanding what certain people mean, right? What part they play into the story of your life. It's like you have to look at it from a different level of awareness in order to be able to recover that ultimate truth. So yeah, he's the embodiment of conscious surrender. And I feel like that's something that you've learned to do. It's like you've mastered the art of detachment in that way. And he is your future self, right? The Hanged Man is your future self, patiently waiting for you to remember. He's the liminal space when you stop fighting the flow, right? He's the part of you that is not pausing because there's stagnancy, but instead it's in the absence of movement that there is a sacred recalibration that happens. And not just internally, reality also begins to recalibrate itself and reconfigure itself due to the internal recalibration that has happened within you, right? When it comes to shifting and recalibrating the way that you view this existence, recalibrating the way that you emotionally relate to your journey on earth, right? It completely shifts that, where you begin to really see it from the healed lens. To become healed is to integrate the experience. To integrate is to become whole, right? And to be able to see the situation from the lens of the soul. And that's something that you're able to do, right? That's something that you've mastered. So, when the world says, who are you? In the world of Wonderland, there's like a grin that appears before a face does with a Cheshire cat, and eyes begin to follow later. And time kind of lags, right? There's a moment of deja vu. It's almost like you see a version of yourself that's upside down and ageless and untouched by time. It's the part of you or the version of you or the character of yourself, expression of yourself that's hanging upside down from that tree. It's you, And some of you, this is like a connection, a meeting that you're having with your own soul. It's like you're looking at the mirror and you're seeing eternity staring back at itself. That's also an message that's coming through. So this is the higher self, in a lot of ways. It's you, but from a vantage point. It's the version of yourself that sees the storm as a speck, right? As it views life from beyond the storm, from the full landscape of space and time. And it's the version of you that's kind of slipped out of a storyline and has learned to watch. Even in the present moment, it's like you've become a version of yourself that begins to kind of observe the story of your own life playing out in front of your eyes, unfolding in a linear fashion. And you can enjoy being an audience member, right, of your own life. And it's the one that doesn't want to spoil the plot twists or spoil the sudden turning points or the endings, right, and how it ends. That's the energy that's coming from you during this time. It's like you've learned how to kind of take a backseat and realize that in taking that backseat, there's only an illusion of separation between the back seat and the driver's seat. It's that I'm hearing the car begins to self-drive itself. The soul begins to kind of self-drive the vehicle that's seated within. And that's what's coming through for you. And you're not in such a hurry, right, any longer, because you become no one, yet everything. You've become nothing and everything simultaneously. And it's almost like, what am I going to do next through the form of another? There's a level of curiosity that he has. And it's kind of like speaking in riddles, right? It's like you may be someone that speaks in riddles, or you feel like when you connect with your highest expression or expansion of yourself, you speak in riddles, but not to confuse, but to disrupt old programming, right? It's almost like there's a different universal language that you're attuned into. The riddles are the synchronicities and trying to decode them. The angel numbers come through music, the messengers that come through whispers, speaking innocently by the oracle, right? That doesn't realize that it's an oracle. Messengers in disguises, hidden behind different faces, all wearing different masks. Unveil the masks, and it's all light interacting with itself. You know? Not everyone's aware that they're wearing the mask. Some have forgotten themselves, you know, for the mask, right? But yeah, this is the part of yourself that's coming to the surface, a certain dimension, because you're ready to be shown the way. You're ready to be shown a different way when it comes to looking at this life, when it comes to not holding on to the pain, not holding on to the blame, and instead, I'm hearing admiring the art of surrender. And who are you without the trauma? Who are you without the stories that you've told yourself, right? It's not about who you think you are, because I'm hearing the world will reflect that. Your experience in this existence will be defined by not who you are, but who you think you are. So yeah, the movie that I was receiving for this was Click by Adam Sandler. Click is like a very interesting movie because it's not a linear one. It's almost like a quantum movie talking about chapters and different commentary and hidden features, right, that he's discovering when it comes to his life and him having control by kind of surrendering control. And he's not just a character living in his story, but he's actually the remote holder, he's the director, and at times he becomes the one watching the movie of his life in autopilot. And this is about you stepping outside of time, right? Unstepping, I'm hearing, out of a linear fashion. So it's almost like all you have to do is, I'm hearing, lose your footing to find it once again. Okay, so there's something about there's certain paths where just because you've been walking it doesn't mean that you have to continue to. The whole movie is basically a synopsis for you cannot skip past the parts that are designed for your biggest transformations. You cannot move through this existence completely in autopilot and dismiss the characters that have played monumental parts in your journey, right? You cannot dismiss the moments that have been etched into your soul, the moments that have shaped you and who you are. I'm hearing you must own that, and you must find your power within those moments. And that's what the Hanged Man does. He's actually beginning to actually be in awe. You know, he's actually kind of mesmerized by just how much his pain became his portal, right? By, in those mundane moments, the magic lied beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered. And it's the chapters that you rush are the ones that you're deeply meant to rewrite a lot of the times. You're meant to rewrite the story that they played. Because I'm hearing things mean exactly the meaning that you give them. Okay? Things will mean to you the meaning that you give them. Your perception creates your reality. And that's what this says. You're creating a new reality for you to begin to play and create in, because you're changing the way that you perceive it. Right? So yeah, you're not bound to one version of life. There's many different ways that you can write this story, right? And I'm hearing many of those stories that played out were just chapters anyway. It's not the full story. Your story is not over yet. And then also when you zoom out enough, this lifetime is just a chapter. That's playing a part into the bigger universal story. And all subjective stories make up that whole objective. So the remote's in your hands now. What are you going to do with it, right? That's the energy that's coming through. Are you going to return to a scene and heal it? Because I was in like very, very deep hypnotherapy. You know, I do this very, very often, but there was a very strong message in regards to kind of watching back and recommentating the story of your life, especially when it comes to healing the inner child and seeking like external comfort, right? It's almost like the part of you that's asking why, and you're learning from some kind of experience and you're beginning to press play, right? It's like you're fully reliving a moment. And this is about shifting in an instant your perception, because you're becoming conscious of those choices and how those choices could have been made based off of the wound itself, right? I was seeing basically wounds that were being recognized when it comes to your physical experience and how they can bleed into every other aspect of your life, how you attract certain characters that are in resonance with certain wounds just to reveal parts of you that need to be healed and integrated, right? So yeah, that's what I was seeing. That's what I was seeing for you. And I think that's what you're seeing now. So anyway, guys, I'm going to love and leave you right there. It's getting really warm. It's getting really warm because it's like midday now. But yeah, personal reading details also down below. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. Love to have you around. Also check out Water Spirit's discount code if you're looking for some high quality AA grade jewelry. And I'll speak to you very, very soon. Until next time, bye.